Children, I'm Ma'am Sushmita. I will be discussing chapter 2 of your political science, Federalism, with you. Since it's a long chapter, so I will discuss it in parts and I will send you the links in parts only. So, first of all, we will discuss the part 1 of Federalism. Before I start discussing federalism, I would like you to remember what we did in our first chapter, power sharing. When we were discussing power sharing, over there you discussed that how the power is shared, and we discussed horizontal power sharing. The power is shared between the various organs of the government, that is, executive, legislature, judiciary. Power is shared with the weaker sections of the society. Power is shared in between political parties, directly, indirectly, and the pressure groups. And we also discussed that there is vertical power sharing. Vertical power sharing means power is shared between the different levels or different tiers of the government. So now, when we talk about federalism, so federalism, this is a system of government where power is vertically shared between the various levels of the government or various tiers of the government. Now, in federalism, power is divided between a central authority and various constituent units of the country. Now, in simple words, for example, in India, we have a central government and then we have state governments. So, power sharing means power is divided between the central authority and the constituent units of the country. The constituent units of the country may be called by various names. For example, it may be called provincial government, it may be called state governments, they can be called local government. So, on the whole, federalism means division of power between central authority and various constituent units. Now, for example, if we talk about in India, we have central government. Central government, when we talk about the parliament, we talk about Lok Sabha, we talk about MPs, etc. Now, Delhi government. Now, when we talk central government in India, it is NDA, National Democratic Alliance, which is an alliance of 18 parties, and it is led by BJP, which is the majority party, or common words we may even call Modi government. Okay, that is the central government. And then we have state governments. For example, we are living in Punjab, we are ruled by a government of Punjab. So, what is federalism? Federalism is a system of government where power is divided between central authority and various constituent units of the country. Now, see, simply, if there is federalism, so that means there should be some other system also. Yes, definitely. Now, we will talk about another system. There can be unitary government and then there can be federal government. Now, let's differentiate between the unitary government and the federal government. First of all, let's talk about unitary government. As the name indicates, unitary government, that means only one level of government is there. In case there are subunits, in case there are other levels of government also, but those all subunits will be subordinate to the central government. And central government can pass orders to provincial or local governments. So these state governments or provincial governments are not independent. They are subordinate to central government in unitary form of government. Now, for example, if you remember, Belgium, we'll talked about Belgium. Belgium initially was a unitary form of government, but then there was a conflict between the French and the Dutch speaking people, and the constitution of Belgium, it was amended 4 times, and then Belgium shifted from unitary system to federal system. In Belgium we have central government, and in Belgium we also have a different government for the capital city of Brussels, and then we have a community government as well. And power of the national government, central government, was taken and given to the state government. So Belgium shifted from unitary form of government to federal form of government. Now let's discuss the federal government, differentiated from unitary government. So in federal government, as such, is clear to you, there are more than one level of government. I just gave you the example of Belgium. Then central government cannot pass orders to state governments. That means state governments are autonomous. Then state governments have power of its own, for which it is not answerable to the central government, and both the governments are separately answerable to the people in federalism. So this is unitary government, and I talked about the federal government. Now, your first question that you will write in your copies. Differentiate between unitary and federal form of government. Now, let's discuss the key features of federalism. When we are talking about federalism, what are the key features of federalism? Now, first is clear to you. I'm 100% sure. For example, first, there are two or more levels of government. Now, children, see, we are living in Punjab and we are Indians. So we are governed by the Punjab government as well as we are governed by our central government. So, no doubt, different levels of government governs the same citizens, but each level has its own jurisdiction, sphere of working in taxation, making laws, legislation, making laws, taxation, and administration. Is it clear? So I said, no doubt different levels of government govern the same citizens, but each level has its own jurisdiction in legislation, taxation, and administration. Jurisdiction, in very simple words, I will say means work, sphere of working. It is not technically correct definition, but I am saying this in layman's language so that you may understand. Then, third key feature. Jurisdiction of each level, central government, state government, or local governments, is specified in constitution. It is written in constitution. So, existence and authority of each level is constitutionally granted. Then, fourth, federal provision of constitution cannot be unilaterally changed by one level of government. Central government on its own cannot bring about a change in constitution. And in the same way, state government also cannot bring about a change in federal provision of the constitution. In case such change has to take place, such changes require consent of both the levels. Now, fifth key feature, the role of courts in federalism. Only courts have the power to interpret the constitution. Courts are very important. Who interprets the constitution? Only courts can interpret the constitution. Courts alone can interpret the power of the different levels or tiers of the government. Now, if there is a dispute between different levels of government, highest court of the country acts as umpire. Which is the highest court of our country? Supreme Court. Yes, in case there is a dispute between the central government or state government or between two states, etc. So Supreme Court can take the decision. It will act as an umpire. Now, sixth, sources of income for each level are clearly specified. Now, the seventh feature. The seventh feature is also the objective of federal system. Now, there is dual objective of federal system. What? First of all, a federal system must safeguard and promote unity of the country. And second, it must accommodate regional diversity. Regional diversity, like for example, in India, we have linguistic pluralism, we have so many languages are spoken, so many people follow different religions. At the same time, we have different ethnic groups, etc. So a federal system must accommodate regional diversity. Now, for example, if we go back to your first chapter, Belgium, it accommodated regional diversity, whereas in Sri Lanka, they were not able to accommodate, did not. They followed majoritarianism. This already you have done. Now, so we have one conclusion that federalism can be successful when government at different levels should agree to some rules of power sharing. And secondly, there should be mutual trust. And then there should be agreement to live together. So here we discussed the key features of federalism. Altogether, 7 key features we discussed, and we discussed 3 basic points when federalism can be successful. Now, if we recapitulate, we said federalism means division of power between the center and the state. And we also said that states are not subordinate to central government, they have their individual powers. But if we look, we will find that this exact balance of power varies. How? Sometimes the center may appear or seem to be more powerful, and sometimes there actually is equality between the states. So, why does it happen? How does it happen? So, we'll find the answer. Now, see, there is a reason behind this. Why the power of the center and the state varies, and there is a historical reason. What historical reason is there? Children, there are two routes how the federation was formed. One is coming together federation, and second is holding together federation. The big federations of today are formed either by coming together or by holding together. Let's discuss coming together federation. Now, USA, Australia, Switzerland. They are examples of coming together federation. Now, in coming together federation, all the constituent states have equal power. Center is not more powerful, or some state is given special power, or some state is given less power, nothing like that. All the constituent states have equal power, and all are strong federal units. The question is why? Now, see, what do we mean by coming together federation? In coming together federation, independent states, they were independent of states, free states. Independent states decided to come together on their own. They were not forced. They decided we will come together and we will form a bigger unit. That means the states themselves decided to form a bigger unit. So they pooled in their sovereignty, then, but at the same time retained their identity, and they increased their security. So what is coming together federation? Independent states themselves decided to form a federation by pooling in their sovereignty, maintaining their identity, and increasing security. So hence all these coming together states, they are equal. And USA, Australia, and Switzerland, I give you the example. Now, holding together. When we talk about holding together, India, Spain, Belgium. These are the examples of holding together federation. Now, what does it mean, holding together? These states, or we can say federation, not federation, these states already existed as large countries. They already existed, these territories already existed as large country. You know, India was ruled by the British. There was time for British to leave our country. Then Vallabhbhai Patel was given the task of uniting all the princely states into India. And then that means Indians decided to come together. Already to hold, not to come together, sorry, hold together. Already it was a big country. So now, holding together, India, Spain, and Belgium already existed as large country. Then they decided to share power between the nation and the state governments. Okay, then in these kind of federations, central government tends to be more powerful. And another thing, some units are given special powers. And different constituent units of federation may have unequal powers. These are the features of holding together federation. Okay, now we will discuss what makes India a federal country. What was the first feature that we discussed? More than one level of government. Do you think there are more than one level? More than one level of government in India? Yes, we have central government and we have state governments. Originally, Constitution provided two-tier system for India. Union government, that is the central government for the Union of India, and then state governments. Later, any idea what I'm about to say? Yes, Gram Panchayats and municipalities. Later, local government were introduced. Gram Panchayats for the rural areas and municipalities for the urban areas. Now, there is threefold distribution of legislative powers between union government and state government. In India, we have three lists: union list, state list, concurrent list, and there are residuary powers. Now, what is union list? In union list, there are topics or subjects of national interest like defense, foreign affairs, banking, communication, and currency. And who can make laws on this? Union government can make laws on the matters mentioned in union list. When I say union government, that means I'm talking about the central government. So we have more than one level of government. We have central government, state government, and then we have local governments, gram panchayat and municipalities. Then there is threefold distribution of legislative powers. We have union list. In union list, we have all the matters of national importance, and only union government can, central government can make laws on that. Then we have state list. In state list, there are subjects of state and local importance, like for example, police, trade, agriculture, irrigation. Just now I told you, now just try to think. Defense falls under, yes, under union list, and police falls under state list. And so the state government can make laws on the matters mentioned in state list. Now we have another list, that is concurrent list. Now concurrent list, in this subjects of common interest are mentioned. Fine, like education, forest, trade unions, marriage, adoption, succession. So both, that means central government as well as state government, can make laws on the topics, on the subjects mentioned in the concurrent list. Now children, if there is a conflict, then law made by union government will prevail. What does it show to you? It shows that central government tends to be more powerful than state government. Okay. Now, residuary subjects. First of all, what are residuary subjects? Now see, subjects that came up after constitution was made. Society is progressive, nothing is stagnant, things are changing, situations change, and hence new type of topics also come. Now, for example, computer software. Now, this is a new topic. Nothing was mentioned about it in the constitution. So, therefore, according to constitution, union government has the power. All the subjects that came up after constitution was made, they come under residuary subjects, and central government has a power to make, the union government has a power to make laws on residuary subjects. Now, the next feature, that is role of judiciary. We discussed when we were discussing the key features of federalism, that the Supreme Court, the highest court, highest court acts as an umpire if there is a conflict between central and the state government. So let's see what is the role of judiciary. So in India also, any dispute between union and state government, so High Court or Supreme Court can make decision. Another thing, power sharing arrangement, it is not easy to change. Now, power sharing arrangement, you know, the union list is there, state list is there, concurrent list is there. Power sharing arrangement is not easy to change. Parliament cannot on its own change the arrangements. Any change is first to be passed by both the houses, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha of Parliament, with 2/3 majority, and then it has to be ratified by the legislatures of at least half of the total states. So this is another federal feature of our Indian government or Indian Union. Then next feature, the union and the state governments have the power to raise resources. They may charge taxes in order to carry on the government and responsibilities assigned to them. Now, just now what we discussed, let me recapitulate what makes India a federal country. That means levels of tiers of government. Then we know that there is central government, state government, and local governments. Then we talked about threefold distribution of legislative powers. We talked about union list, we talked about state list, concurrent list, and we talked about residuary powers. And then we talked about the role of the judiciary. Then we talked about power sharing arrangement. Then we talked about the sources from where they can collect income. And one more thing that I would like to talk about is, since India is a holding together federation, India does not give equal power to its constituent units. Constituent units in India, we have 28 states and 8 union territories. Now, see, till 5th August 2019, Jammu and Kashmir enjoyed special power because of the Article 370. Now, during that time, it had its own constitution. Indians who were not permanent members of the J&K could not buy land there. Many of the provisions of Indian constitution were not applicable on the state without the approval of the state assembly. However, on 5th August, President of India, on recommendation of Parliament, declared that all clauses of Article 370 shall cease to be operating. And what was the result? Jammu and Kashmir bifurcated into two union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Now, children, you must know that apart from Jammu and Kashmir, 11 other states of India still continue to have some special status like Maharashtra, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Goa, and 6 of the 7 sister states of Northeast. These are basically for social welfare, etc. Now, there are in India, we have units with little power. For example, the union territories. Now, why union territories? Because these were too small to be declared states and they could not be merged with any existing state. So these territories do not have the power of state, and central government has special powers in running these union territories. Now, from here you have to write 2 questions. Already I have given you 1 question. What is the difference between unitary and federal form of government? And now these 2 are also your copy questions. Write the key features of federalism in your copies. Okay, second and third, differentiate between coming together and holding together federation from page 15. So this is the first part of your chapter federalism, and now we'll switch over to the second part of chapter federalism in the other video. Thank you.